Plus, new strikes overnight against ISIS and also in Syria. Will they be enough? The Colonel.
Let me give you the measure of success in airstrikes against ISIS. It is not knocking out windows. It is acres and acres of dead terrorists. That is tactical success.
Will that happen? Colonel Ralph Peters on the president's strategy and how he sees it on the inside in a moment. New airstrikes in Syria, is this enough? Colonel Oliver North on how he sees it. Rolling.
Airstrikes are going to disrupt and damage and distract ISIS, but it cannot destroy ISIS because air power has never captured terrain, an enemy combatant, or freed a hostage. That requires rough men with rifles, in other words, boots on the ground, and there are none today.
Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, Fox News strategic analyst. How are you, Colonel? Good morning to you. Now, you've gone
Always
over all
good
this,
talking to you.
the BDAs, they call it, the bomb damage assessment. You've got a lot of hardcore feelings about this. You think the time of day for these strikes is significant. Why?
Well, it really mattered, and I think the media were so enraptured with the dramatic footage of the cruise missile launches and the before and after photos that they missed the fundamental point that Obama had restrictions on this air operation to minimize not just civilian, but to minimize terrorist casualties. He didn't want bloodshed, so we attacked in the middle of the night. Now, the only reason you'd attack in the middle of the night is if there's a forbidding air defense complex and you're worried about it. There were no air defenses in the areas we attacked. The Syrians certainly weren't going to turn on anything they had. ISIS doesn't have them. You could have gone in there safely in a hang glider. But instead, we went in the middle of the night. Why?
Maybe,
because the buildings were empty.
All right, that could be. And maybe I'll give you another answer for your question why. Maybe there's cooperation with Damascus. I mean, you have a quote now from a Syrian government minister who says what's happened so far is proceeding in the right direction. He went on to say, in terms of informing the Syrian government by not targeting Syrian military installations and not targeting civilians. Maybe there's cooperation here, and that was the only time of the day where Damascus said, it's okay.
No, absolutely wrong. Sorry, Bill. Damascus has no say in this. They don't get a say. They don't get a vote. We let them know we were coming so they'd be smart and not turn their radars on, and they didn't. Now, we went in the middle of the night because that way the buildings were empty and President Obama didn't want to hurt any terrorists. In the middle of the night, you blow out windows, you knock down antennas. The right time to hit, if you wanted to hurt the Islamic State terrorists, militants, would have been 10 or 11 in the morning when those headquarters buildings, logistics sites, compounds would have been crowded.
I understand your point, but what this person is saying is they're going in the right direction. That's a quote off of Reuters here, because the government was being kept informed and they were not hitting civilians or Syrian military targets. You're saying there is no cooperation with Damascus here?
No, I'm saying we did let them know we were coming so they wouldn't be stupid and turn their radars on and paint our aircraft. But no, we're not coordinating who and what we strike with Damascus. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, the problem here was that, again, President Obama didn't want to hurt any terrorists, except maybe the Khorasan group. We may have taken out some of them because they seem to be they're purported to be an imminent threat to the homeland. We'll see about that. But the real big problem there is the Islamic State and the Caliphate. And Bill, knocking out windows, knocking down antennas, rearranging the furniture with a cruise missile doesn't deter people who believe they're on a mission from God to kill everything in sight. The only way you can deal with terrorists of this nature is to kill them and keep on killing them in large numbers, kill them in ones and twos until they are either exterminated or the last guys just give up and run for the caves.
Earlier today on the Today Show on NBC, Ambassador Susan Rice was being interviewed, and she essentially said the only way this war changes is when the locals take up and join the fight. Who's willing to do that?
Well, so far, nobody on the ground. George Herbert Walker Bush had real Arab ground troops for the liberation of Kuwait. So far, we've got Arab states flying token missions, and that's important to have the Arabs and the Sunni Arabs in the air with us. It's symbolically important. But ultimately, Ollie North was certainly right. All the other critics are right, that air power can do a lot for you if used aggressively and effectively. We're still not using it aggressively enough. But at the end of the day, you need depending on the situation, either special forces, special operators, or regular ground forces to go in and just grapple with these guys and wipe them out. Now, you know, this idea that we can impress them with our technology is nonsense. Look what it took to defeat Germany and Imperial Japan. We've leveled all these German cities, and we still had to reach the Elbe River and shake hands with the Red Army. We had to drop 2 atom bombs on Japan, and they didn't think they were on a mission from God. As far as morale goes, as far as determination and commitment to the cause, which is what truly matters in conflict, in warfare, ISIS has it. They've got it in spades. And the problem is our guys don't. Who wants to die for the Baghdad government? Kurds will defend their homeland, but they're not going to liberate Syria.
There's your answer there.
Et cetera.
Colonel, we got to run. Thank you. Ralph Peters out of Washington
My
today,
pleasure.
standing by for the president's address, and we'll watch it together. Thank you, Colonel. Martha.